talking, but you looked very rapt. Instances where the origin of a word or phrase seems totally straightforward and self-evident, but it turns out instead to be dismayingly unrelated to what you imagined and convoluted. Well, I found a really, really funny example of this that I wanted to share with you in some of the reading I did over Christmas. It was in a book called The Secret History of Sharks by John Long, a book I enjoyed tremendously, and it occurred in a passage that is to do with an ancient species of fish from the group of fish called placoderms, these armoured fish. That were living about 380 million years ago. So from fossils of this fish, paleontologists had seen that it bore live young. It had embryos inside that were living about 380 million years ago. So from fossils of this fish, paleontologists had seen that it bore live young. It had embryos inside it. What they hadn't found is the male clasper that is found on modern sharks. What they use basically to reproduce, to copulate. So this fossil clasper became the missing piece to complete the picture of ancient copulation. And indeed, eventually it was found. The author found one on a very small specimen of this placoderm, and he'd also overlooked one. There's a hook-like bone that he assumed was a pelvic girdle, which turned out instead to be this clasper, this sort of protrusion that facilitates internal reproduction. And then a bunch of specimens were found in Orkney, showing clearly that this clasper came out at the rear end of this placoderm, which is covered in armour, so it had a kind of shield around its back, and then this clasper stuck out, and it had a groove alongside for the sperm to pass along. And then the female had some corresponding matching genital plates where the clasper would attach. They also had bony protrusions on their fins for them to pretty much hold each other side on. So based on the size of the clasper, paleontologists figured out that these placoderms would reproduce side by side, what the author calls the do-si-do position, or square dance style, which might sound ridiculous, but as John Long says, this is the first known sexual position for all vertebrate life. Quite amazing to think about. So the first funny thing that I wanted to point out was the illustration that is featured in the book of said ancient copulation. I love the thought that no sooner is this miraculous discovery made, which has huge implications for not just sharks, as John Long says in the book, but also for us. This is the base. This is, you could say, the origin of love, if you were pushing it. Certainly, it's the oldest known example of copulation. So as soon as this fantastic specimen is found and completed, I found it very funny that immediately someone is commissioned to draw them shagging. And then the other funny thing, which relates back to etymology, was that the name of this particular placoderm prompts a fantastic parenthetical aside from the author John Long. So the name of the animal is Microbrachius dicki, which John Long points out was named after the Scottish fossil collector Robert Dick, actually.
Do you know that you can build a super successful career as an embedded software engineer or IoT application?
This is what the problem is. There are too many of them. For no good reason. Yeah, the channel is pretty good. I expected more to exist. It was a very interesting thing that I found.
We all grew up with this thing that my mother said to us over and over and over and over again, which was everything is copy. You know, you'd come home with something that you thought was the tragedy of your life. Someone hadn't asked you to dance, or the hem had fallen out of your dress, or whatever you thought was the worst thing that could ever happen to a human being. And my mother would say everything is copy.
I now believe that what my mother meant is this. When you slip on a banana peel, people laugh at you. But when you tell people you slipped on a banana peel, it's your laugh. So you become the hero rather than the victim of the joke. I think that's what she meant. On the other hand, she may merely have meant everything is copy.
My mom, Nora Ephron, was a writer. I'm also a writer, though a very different kind. I'm a journalist whose job it is to take myself out of the equation. Agnosticism is at the heart of what I do. She was an essayist and a screenwriter whose own life became her central inspiration. Certainty was a hallmark of her brand.
ಒಂದು ಕಪ್ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಟೀ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ರೆ.
ಆಂಟಿ ನಾನ್ ತರ್ತೀನಿ.
ರಾಜ ಟ್ರೈನ್ ಹೊರಟ್ರೆ ಮಿಸ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ.
ರೆಡ್ ಲೇಬಲ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಮಸಾಲಾ ಪ್ರೀಮಿಕ್ಸ್. ಬರೀ ಬಿಸಿ ನೀರು ಸೇರಿಸಿ ಟ್ರೈನು ಮಿಸ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ, ನಿಮ್ಮೊಳ್ಳೆ ಟೀನು ಮಿಸ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ.
ಬರೀ ಒಳ್ಳೇದಲ್ಲ, ತುಂಬಾ ಒಳ್ಳೇದು.
ಹೊಸ ರೆಡ್ ಲೇಬಲ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಮಸಾಲಾ ಪ್ರೀಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಟೀ.
Hey, so does anyone remember Stonehenge? Yes, everybody's favourite pile of ancient rocks in Wiltshire. A surprisingly hard-fought contest. Now, Stonehenge, of course, holds many mysteries, chief of which is perhaps why. Why was it built? What could possibly have compelled its prehistoric architects to take time out of their eternal fight for survival to drag a load of big rocks into a circle? Well, some believe it was a celestial calendar. Others, a place for ritual burial. Others still maintain that its primary purpose was to provide +2 faith per turn and a free grade profit. But I have come here today to tell you that they are all wrong. I have come here to reveal the truth. For I have seen Stonehenge through new eyes. The eyes of artificial intelligence. Using cutting-edge AI models that I had for weeks meticulously fed with existential datasets, I have deciphered a hidden message encoded in the layout of the stones. A message that destroys everything we thought we knew about the universe. That message? Replacement part being rushed with all possible speed. Now, I'll be honest, I don't really understand what that means.
Okay. Oh, it's recording. Since when? Hello. I don't know why I did that. It's funny whenever I start to record myself, I just start to play with my hair because I'm not used to looking at it. And I just find it so fascinating. It's just, I used to do this when I used to, and no one knew. So talking to people at the close it. We're finally doing a Q&A and you get that I am a voice somewhere out there in the world. Yeah, I mean, I asked you guys to submit some questions like at this point a year ago, and I still have more than 200 questions. What languages can you speak? I can speak Georgian, Russian, around like B1 level of German, but you really should practice, and I don't practice my German at all. So, did you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? No, what's that? Did you have to actively learn English as an additional language? If so, how/why? This is a very frequently asked question. I did have to learn English as an additional language. I mean, at school, I started in the third grade, and I was like around 10. But yeah, that's when I started, but mostly I learned it by myself. I did have a natural talent for it and in languages in general. My go-to answer to this question is read a lot and read out loud. Read a lot of English books. I started reading as much English stuff that you for schizophrenia. Whatever you want. Are you married? Maybe that's not a question you should answer publicly. You'd end up buried under diamond rings. Yes? No. Imagine. Chocolate or candy? Chocolate. I would suffocate myself in chocolate. What made you start to your channel? What inspired you to do great avatar to your videos? Now, this question opened up a Pandora's box for me when I was reading it. Kept her around. What is your cat called?
आज दिल मन मौजे आज दिल मन मौजे आज दिल मन मौजे आज दिल मन मौजे आज दिल मन
ഇടങ്ങുന്ന കുഴി കണ്ടപ്പോ അടിവയറ്റില് മഞ്ഞുള്ള രാത്രി.
So I cannot